let's do it. Let's get into it. How are y'all? Hope y'all are good. And nothing. This video is gonna be about the recent, not the recent. It's been loading up for a while, but the divide that we see in America as of right now. Um, there's a lot of polarizing issues going on in America. I mean, we can go from war, the Ukraine war, to gender identity and gender roles, race, all these things. I think that most important issue that I want to touch on is kind of the complexity of issues. So what I mean by this is that there's more to issues, there's more to problems than just one angle to it, right? What I mean by that is, for example, the Ukraine war. And this is a massively political war. You see how it started, right? It's not just because Putin is a psychopath and he just wanted to create havoc. There's reason behind his wanting to start the war, I guess, and it all ties down to like NATO and to territories. So what's going on is that NATO is extending past, it wanted to influence Ukraine, and in a like geopolitical realm, uh, it's not good for Russia because Russia, it relies on Ukraine for a lot of things. I think Ukraine is a huge, um, it's a lot of like crops and agriculture. I'm not quite sure what um, Ukraine is their main uses when it comes to economics and trade and all these things. But I do know that it is important for Russia to maintain at least the neutrality of Ukraine because Russia's a huge country and it relies on the countries around it for lots of resources, right? And if you're talking about Russia as a country, as a political entity, um, it needs it. It needs it. And it needs it, and it needs it critically because if not, like, what's gonna happen, right? So, this whole thing started because NATO wanted Ukraine to be on its side, which is means that Ukraine is going to be an ally of the West, of Europe, of America, and Russia was not having it because it ruins their plans, right? And um, outside of opinions and outside of rhetoric and all this stuff, I mean, if a country relies on a system being in place, it will go for that and it will advocate for that resource to stay put and um, to stay in power, right? I mean, Russia. The reason why Russia is so important is because of its political due diligences and its political actions, right? And Ukraine's a big part of that. So Ukraine started to get in talks with NATO. Russia didn't like that. Russia said, "Hey, no, we have to state our claim. America and the Western world were not having it. Russia and the world was not having it. So they said, all right, well, if you guys don't halt this, we're gonna take action." And they took action, and that's how the war started, right? I mean, it's way more complex than that, but I'm simplifying it, right? So this is where it all starts, though, because a lot of people in America think this is a very black and white issue. Putin is bad, Russia is bad, and Ukraine is good. But it's more than that. And I think that the escalation of this war is scary for us because we are seeing I don't want to say a change in power because America still has huge power, huge, I mean, massive influence, economic power, political power. That's unrivaled. Even if whatever happening in America, even if we believe there's a political divide, and even if we believe that America is on its like deep downfall, I, it's impossible to think that um, our influence is not there. But it's a more complex issue because let's see, China has become a huge competitor in every realm, huge competitor, and Russia's aligned with China. I say China is two, America is one, Russia, based off its new policy, that I don't think it's top, but compared to other countries, it's up there in terms of political power, economic power, or regardless. And it's a complicated issue, which is what I want to talk about because this isn't so black and white. A lot of people here paint it to be black and white, and it's scary because the escalation of this is not sustainable and it's not smart at all. Um, because Russia has no problem escalating. It has no problem. What does Putin have to lose? What does Russia have to lose? Because this has become an ideological warfare. Let me give you an example. The most recent Putin speech really alarmed me because he's weaponizing the divide that we have in America. So this whole like traditional versus liberal mindset, right? And it's so it's pretty much like the move away from Christianity, the move away from religion, the move towards more individualism, and it's manifesting itself in America, right? There's less people giving importance to religion. A, B, you see systems like Christianity, which is the main religion in America, um, kind of lose authority. It's become very wishy-washy with its laws and with its beliefs. And even then, people who self-claim as Christianity don't have a backbone when it comes to it. You disrespect Christianity, and they're like, yeah, whatever, this and that. And a lot of people have moved away from church. I've seen it with my own family. I've seen it with a lot of people, even with my own generation. Most people are not with the church, and if they believe in Christianity, it's more of a personal belief. And and Russia is weaponizing that because they see that and they want to go after that. They want to keep the They want to keep the nuclear family, which is attached to Christianity or religion and these traditional beliefs. And they're weaponizing this as a way to create an ideological battle between Russia um, and the West, or the East and the West, because China is now getting into it as well. But China is doing it because of interest. China is just in there because of economic interest, and what more do they want than to see America kind of downfall and then to gain even more political authority. And I mean, you could see it, like the way that China has been handling itself politically. I mean, they're not taking any shit from anyone, and that's the thing. Like they're they're not giving a fuck. Like they're not. Um, they had a conversation with Trudeau. Trudeau leaked it. They said, like fuck you. Um, uh, it wasn't actually like that. I'm just talking shit. But no, I mean, China's really does not care anymore. Talks with Canada. Trudeau leaked the messages. China was like, all right, this is a terrible way of doing things, and they kind of moved away from Canada. You see the balloon, the spy balloon that we saw in America, in South America, and they're expanding their influence. They're already in Africa. They already have been in Africa. They already have been in South America. A lot of South American countries have a lot of Chinese immigrants and a lot of Chinese funding that goes into there, as well as Russian, but I'd say more Chinese now. You see it in Venezuela, where my mom is from. It's huge over there, and it's in Africa. It's rampant. It's crazy. They're everywhere. 'Cause it's easy. It's like easy just to go over there, put a bunch of money in there, and then make clauses to make people stay kind of in need of you. And to take this back to my point that I was making, when Putin made his speech about how America is going against their core beliefs of nuclear family, of Christianity, and all these things, it's scary because a lot of people in America agree with him, right? With the fundamental idea. But it reminds me a lot of World War II with Hitler. Um, Not in the sense that what he's saying is like he was going after Judaism, he's going after specific sects of people. Russia is weaponizing, Putin is trying to weaponize his people to be against America, to be against this whole ideology that is in the West, that is now pervading the West. Or not, I guess not pervading, but I guess manifesting itself in the West. And I don't see it as a speech of he's doing something. He's like speaking out for family rights. He's speaking out for nuclear family rights and all these things. I think he's saying it as a way to indoctrinate his people into believing these things, into actually feeling it, right? Because when you have strong feelings about something and you're in a setting of a war, like Russia is with Ukraine, it gives people more incentive to go out and do these things. Oh, I'm going to be protecting in order for nuclear family rights because I know if America goes into Ukraine, Ukraine is going to go into this Western ideology, these Western ideas, right? Such as um, different types of families. I mean, individualism, things like gay rights and gender identity, where it's not man and woman anymore. It's man, woman, transgender. You can kind of pick and choose your gender, right? It can be this, that, and a lot of it is based off of your sexual identity. And Russia, whatever, they don't agree with it, and a lot of people in America don't agree with it either. Um, a lot of the old school traditional people don't agree with it, and it's scary because I mean this is the way you weaponize a country. You don't do it because you don't weaponize a country with military weapons, with missiles, with guns, with tanks, with jet fighters, with I guess now drones, and all these things. You weaponize them with ideas because ideas are the ones that act. You act with ideas. You don't act with guns because if you give me a gun, I'm not going to do anything. But if you tell me, fucking, uh, if you tell me, hey, this person did something to your mom, then the idea pops by. I'm like, shit, like someone did an evil act on my mother. I'm gonna like retaliate. I'm gonna protect her. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I think that's what they're doing, and it's scary because they're weaponizing a pushback on these new ideas of family, these new ideas of society, and they're using it for their own gain. That's how wars start. It doesn't help because America is going full on with this war. Not only do I think it's a economic decision made by the president and made by people who who consult with the president and the government. Yeah, I mean it's that it's a decision to do this, and they're pushing forward with it, and that's a decision that came from the president. That decision that came from people that consult with the president. Is what I'm trying to say. And it's not gonna go well. In my opinion, it's not gonna go well. I don't want to be a kind of think of this in a bad mindset because you never know, right? Most things don't escalate that fast and don't escalate that quickly, right? But we've seen the potential of escalation quickly. War is not a past idea. War is not a past belief. War is not. War is war, and it can happen at any time. Any time. A lot of people forget it in the West. A lot of people forget in America that we are in competition with most people. America is in competition with other countries every single day. The world exists in competition always. And because life is so good here, and because life is so the living standard has risen so much that people are distracted, especially with our phones, especially with social media. People people are distracted, and they don't understand the sensitivity when it comes to matters like this. Now, do I think that war is escalation of conflicts and war is easy or practical, or do I think it's more realistic than it was before? No. I think that it's harder to escalate a conflict to a war than it was in the past. But it doesn't mean that war does not exist in our world. It does, and we see it in Ethiopia with the Ethiopia and um, the Tigray up north, and that whole conflict. We see it. I mean, war is rampant in Africa, but I think that that's just internal conflicts. But political conflicts. I mean, Ethiopia. You see a lot of problems in places around the Balkan states. That are always just those countries are those countries hate each other. Serbians, Croatians, okay, they all hate each other. But a new one is China and America. We're not getting along, and America's not doing a good job with that. Which is I'm not a fan of President Biden at all. Not a fan of Trump, but I'm not a fan of Biden. It's not he's not doing a good job, and he's pushing this hard. He's pushing everything that the West is these ideologies that are in the West now. He's pushing it to another degree when it comes to gender identity, when it comes to race, when it comes to all these things that fundamentally are not good. Because a lot of these ideas come from sociology. They come from this new way of thinking, right? And the whole thing is just like everything is a social construct. I study sociology, so I understand this way of thinking, and I did think this way in the past, but I've changed my ideas because it's limiting. If you say everything's a social construct, then nothing has ground, nothing has fundamental. I don't want to say earth, because it doesn't make sense, but like you need fundamental truths because if not, everything is up in the clouds, and you can't have everything up in the clouds. For example, if you're in a relationship with a girl, and she wants a relationship, no, let's do it like this. If you're in a relationship with a girl and you do not know what you want, it's gonna complicate the relationship a lot. Because if you don't know what you want, you're not gonna act the way you want the relationship to go. So you're just gonna be passive. And what's gonna happen? The girl's gonna understand that you're passive, and then she's gonna be like, "Why are you passive?" Like this and that, and she's gonna be unattracted to that because if you're not pushing for something and you don't make your intentions clear, then what's the point? I mean, she can go find another guy that actually wants her and that actually knows what she wants, and wants what she wants, right? For example, like if I'm talking to a girl and I don't really know what's going on, I'm like whatever. I don't really care for her. She can pick up on that fast, and like if I don't take her out to dates, if I don't do this, if I don't do that, like she's gonna say fuck off. She has other options. Same thing with this whole thing. I mean, if you keep on pushing this racial identity importance, it's dangerous because we are not defined by a race. We are defined as a nation. If you're in America, you are American. And politically, that's how it is. Maybe not personally, but politically, you need that unison with a population. That I am American, I'm proud to be American. I mean, you go to Venezuela and people come to America and they're proud to be Venezuelan. Colombians are proud to be Colombian. But in America, people are not proud to be American. So they rely on these social classifications to identify with. I am this gender, I am this race. And I think race has become a identity when it shouldn't be. If you are black, you're black because of the culture that has been associated with blackness, right? If you are African, you are African. You are Nigerian. You are Ethiopian. You go along with your identity, with your cultural identity, and your culture is associated with the country that you live in. And if you're wishy-washy about everything, you start making racial classifications important. You start um, uh, making important race when it comes to positions as dangerous because it's no longer merit. It's no longer if you are worth the position that you are going into, but it's do you have the qualifications? Do you have the social criteria to fit this and to fit our agenda of equality and equity and all these things? Which, in my opinion, I mean, if someone is not the best in their job, why would you hire them? I believe that having diversity is important, but it has to be earned. It can't just be given because if you give people things, that's when things start going south. Look at communism. Why is communism such a bad thing? Because when you start giving people things, they start relying on you. And when systems can't provide, and they will not, it's impossible for a system to provide fully and full everyone's needs. It's impossible without other people suffering for that. And the people that are suffering through that, and the people that are suffering because other people's needs are hiring up, they're gonna get pissed. And the people that are gonna get pissed are gonna speak out about it. When they speak out about it, there becomes a clash. So it's a really tricky thing in the world that we live in because it makes sense what they're doing, and in a fundamental sense, it's a good because we want people to who are from different places that have different makeups that don't have the same opportunities and all this stuff, or they have harder. It's harder for people to um, jump from one social class to another, especially if you live in a bad neighborhood. It's hard to get up there, but just putting people in these positions are not good, and especially when it comes to gender identity. If you believe you're non-binary, that shouldn't give you a qualification for a job. It shouldn't. But now we have gender indexes, race indexes that companies need to follow, and it's like, if people don't have the qualifications, how can you hire them? So I'm rambling and I'm ranting. But that's the point of this video. That's the point of this channel. But um, I think that this is really complex. I think that issues are more complex than what people make it out to be, and there's repercussions for people's actions. And the more attention we give towards this divide, and the more attention we give towards identity, that's where I see us going wrong. We need a simple identity to fit everyone into. You are American. You are this. When you go to a school, you're not associated with your major, right? When you go to college, you're not associated with your major. You're associated with the school. I go to X and X. You don't say, "Oh, I am in the School of College of Arts and Sciences." Oh, really? Da 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 da. Like it's a plus, but like it's an add-on. Um, so yeah, I mean, even taking it back to this whole Russia thing, it's not simple. It's not a simple thing. You can't just say that Russia's bad and Ukraine's good because both sides have interest in this. And does it fit your criteria of what's good and bad? Maybe, but it shouldn't be like that because it has repercussions. If we go forward with this war, Russia's not going to give up. Putin has nothing to lose, and the people around him have nothing to lose. Because if Ukraine becomes a NATO territory, Russia's going to be ousted. And who's going to take control of energy? Who's going to take control of all these things? Russia's going to become just another country. It's gonna become another Germany. It's gonna become another France. It's gonna become another England. It's gonna become another one of these things. It's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky, and we gotta watch out. I'm telling you, you have to watch out, especially with this newest Putin speech. It freaks me out because a lot of people in America identify with what he said, but they don't understand the implications what he said has. It's dangerous what he said. I'm telling you, it's something that a Hitler would say because it's motivating ideologically people to act in times of war. Because what's the whole problem with Russia? They have nothing to act. This war doesn't go towards, and this war doesn't advocate for them because it's like, why am I doing this? We're in modern society. Why am I doing this? But now you're getting an incentive to do it. And now China is escalating as well, just because they want interest. Because they're thinking, if Russia keeps their power high, our big trading partner, our big partner in the east is Russia. If Russia goes down, then what leverage do we have on everyone else? So they're gonna support Russia. So it's just gonna be Russia versus and China versus America and the West, and that's when the war happens. And guess what? I'm gonna have to go to war, and I don't want to go to war, motherfuckers. Like, come on, I don't want to go to war. Settle this shit, please. Like, whatever. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, and let's hope for the best, as always. But we also have to be realistic. We also have to see everything from two sides and look at things objectively. And let's hope nothing happens. Let's hope that we can continue on our mission to advance society. And I mean, I guess the next purpose for humanity is to go to Mars, go extend our reach, and these are limiting factors that disable that get in the way of our mission, and it's go forward the human race, because if not, what else do we have? But hope you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you listen to it, if you watch it, I think it's really interesting, and maybe I'll make a video next time, go into more detail about everything. I'm really trying to read up on it, but it's hard to find resources that will give you every single side of the picture. You kind of have to take bits and pieces of your own thinking and match them together. Just fun. It's like a little game, but it definitely has real world implications, and those real world implications are real. They're real. So we gotta watch out what we do, and we gotta look at things objectively, and we have to look at things reasonably, because if you just think of things just nonsensically, and you think of things feelings based, you're not gonna get anywhere. That's how it is. But let me know what you think, and yeah.